These are the headlines we're following at this hour. South Korea has raised its emergency response against the heat wave to level 2 for the first time. The government is injecting $4.6 million in emergency funds. Extreme heat is also taking its toll on young scouts at the Jamboree, causing hundreds to suffer heat-related illnesses. President Yoon orders unlimited cooling buses with more medical equipment and personnel also on the way. Now, another stabbing attack shocked South Korea with 14 injured in the incident near the capital, Seoul. Good afternoon. South Korea continues to see dangerously hot temperatures. As of yesterday, authorities have activated a level 2 emergency response duty for the first time against the heat. Amid a drastic surge in heat-related illnesses compared to last year, the government has allocated millions of dollars in emergency funds. Our Yoon has the details.
On Thursday, as of 5 p.m., the South Korean government raised the level of emergency operations to the second highest, level 2, in response to the nationwide scorching heat. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety said the new level was initiated as over 108 regions across the country were expecting temperatures to reach over 35 degrees Celsius for the next 3 days. This is the first time in the disaster headquarters history that operation has been raised to level 2 due to a heat wave. The agency has 3 emergency duty stages to prepare against disaster or crises, with level 3 being the highest. After this summer's monsoon season, South Korea has been coping with searing heat for over a week. The country's 4-level heat alert has been raised to the highest level of red on Tuesday for the first time in 4 years. Daytime highs hovered in the mid-30s nationwide, with temperatures rising as high as 38 degrees Celsius on Thursday. The government announced its commitment to alleviating problems related to the heat wave by allocating 6 billion won, or $4.61 million as part of its emergency response. Now, according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, 89 people were hospitalized due to the heat on Thursday, and there were 2 fatalities which were presumed to be heat-related. The number of people treated for heat-related illness reached 1,385 on Wednesday from May 20th. With those aged 65 and above taking up around 29% of the figure. Amid the scorching heat, the KDCA also said around 165,000 units of livestock, including 156,297 chickens, died due to the heat since June 19th. Yoon, Arirang News.
Over at the World Scout Jamboree, the extreme heat has caused hundreds of young scouts to suffer heat-related illnesses. Authorities are rolling out a set of emergency measures, including President Yoon's directive to provide as many cooling buses as needed. Moon Hae-ryun has the latest.
Hundreds of teenagers at the World Scout Jamboree taking place in Saemangeum on South Korea's west coast are struggling to participate in activities due to the heat wave gripping the country. Nearly 1,000 participants have reportedly been struck down by heat-related illnesses since the event began.
It's really hot here. We're not used to it in Belgium.
With the Jamboree scheduled to last until next Sunday, the South Korean government has issued a series of measures across the board. President Yoon instructed on Friday that all efforts should be taken to resolve issues on site and to provide as many air-conditioned buses and cold water supplies as needed in order to give the scouts some respite from the heat. The government and the ruling People Power Party followed up on this with an emergency meeting, after which they declared that plans were underway to provide enough ice water for 100,000 people on site, as well as providing cooling tents and expanding electricity supply capacity. It will also be explaining these plans to foreign media outlets and diplomats from participating countries, while also remaining well aware of the concerns of the Scouts' parents at home. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo spoke to the event's co-chair, the Minister of Gender Equality and Family, over the phone the day before to ensure the safety of all 43,000 participants at the event. The Defense Ministry has already sent out around a dozen personnel for medical support, but plans to dispatch 30 more later today, as well as setting up shelters and shower facilities for the scouts. 36 ambulances will be on standby during the hottest hours of the day between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. South Korea's Ministry of the Interior and Safety responded by distributing half the government's newly announced funds to tackle heatwave-related issues to the scouting event. That amounts to 3 billion Korean won, or roughly $2.3 million, which will immediately be used to install additional cooling facilities, provide emergency supplies and air-conditioned shuttle buses at the Jamboree. With the event being a global one with participants from 158 countries, the world's media has been reporting on the story, including in a BBC's news article headlined, "Hundreds Hit by Heat Exhaustion in South Korea," and a New York Times report titled "Hundreds Fall Ill from Heat at Scout Gathering in South Korea." Countries with participating Scout delegations are also closely following the situation. The UK contingent is the largest, with 4,500 Scouts out of the total 43 participants, and a Foreign Office correspondent said it was in communication with both Scouts UK and Korean authorities to ensure the safety of British nationals. The Korea Meteorological Administration's forecast shows that temperatures are set to hover around the 35-degree mark in the region where the event is being held, right through to the end. 문혜련, Arirang News.
And this just after President Yoon's directive, South Korea's Prime Minister convened an emergency cabinet meeting and approved allocating some $4.6 million for providing buses equipped with cooling systems, among other measures. Now, extreme heat is also taking its toll on farmers amid mounting damages to crops. These companies are also preparing for even more damage from the typhoon season. Shin Se-byuk reports.
Eggplants scattered all over the ground. These vegetables have withered under the high temperatures that have gripped South Korea. Farmers try to shield them from the heat, but it barely helps. The intense heat has caused the eggplants to lose their natural color, which impacts their quality and how many a farmer can sell. This year's yield is only 60% of what it was last year. And of those, 7 out of 10 boxes contain lower quality produce. It's been a double whammy for the farmers as the damage has only worsened after the monsoon season.
This year, extreme heat came right after the heavy rain, leaving the eggplants struggling to adapt and grow properly.
Soybeans are also feeling the impact. The same farmer has had to plant soybeans 5 times this year, much more than usual, and most of them have wilted early. Even those that managed to grow cannot fully ripen, falling victim to the relentless heat. It's not just the crops and vegetables that are struggling. Cattle are finding it tough to cope with the sweltering conditions. Farmers are trying to keep their cattle cool by running air conditioning units non-stop.
With this scorching weather, you can see a significant drop in the cattle's appetite. And it's not just that. It's also noticeably affecting their fertility rates.
Such extreme heat is deadly for farm animals. Exposure to extreme temperatures could result in heat stress and eventually death. According to the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, as of August 1st, over 150,000 farm animals have died due to the heatwave this summer.
The fully fledged typhoon season is expected soon, adding to the farmers' worries. Authorities fear that the damage will escalate, and so farmers are bracing themselves for what's to come. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Another stabbing attack shocked South Korea. 14 people have been injured in the incident near the capital, Seoul. The suspect crashed his vehicle into a shopping mall before attacking shoppers and pedestrians. President Yoon ordered the police to take the fullest response to any threats, calling the latest attack an act of terrorism. Our Kim Do-yeon has the details.
14 people were injured, with 2 of them said to be in a critical condition as of Friday afternoon, following a knife attack at a shopping mall in Bundang, Gyeonggi-do province the evening before. The suspect, who appeared to randomly attack people at the department store after he had first crashed his vehicle into the storefront, is a 22-year-old man with the surname Che, was detained by the police at the scene. According to the police report, Che was incoherent as he was escorted away, and local reports have confirmed that he had been diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder a few years before. The incident comes just 13 days after a random knife attack in Sillim-dong in western Seoul, where an attacker killed 1 man and injuring 3 others. Following that incident, there had been a number of threats posted on social media regarding a similar attack, with police already arresting a number of people for posting such threats. But the latest knife attack in Pundang has added fuel to the fire. Overnight, more knife attack threats were made online targeting popular places such as Uijeongbu City in Gyeonggi-do Province and Seomyeon in Busan. The nation's police is on full alert, with units deployed at locations mentioned in the threats. In the meantime, President Yoon Suk-yeol labeled the latest knife attack a terrorist attack on innocent citizens. This is the first time he's labeled an incident like this as a terrorist attack. He had referred to the knife attack in Shillin as a violent crime. According to a statement by the top office, President Yoon ordered the police to mobilize its full force to make sure people do not feel threatened. He also told the Interior and Safety Minister to make sure officers are deployed to appropriate locations to prevent any possible attacks and are ready to respond when needed. Kim Do-young, Arirang News.
North Korea has reportedly confirmed custody of U.S. soldier Travis King, who crossed the border from South Korea last month while on a guided tour. According to the BBC, the UN command says the regime has made its first response to requests for information on his whereabouts. But the UN command did not give any more details to prevent any interference in its efforts to bring him home. This comes as the UN command, which polices the southern side of the demilitarized zone on the inter-Korean border, has sought information on King using its direct phone line to the North Korean army. The regime has yet to publicly acknowledge custody of the soldier. Now, before crossing into the north, Travis King served 2 months in detention in South Korea and was due to face disciplinary proceedings in the U.S. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has once again pleaded not guilty to charges linked to his push to overturn his 2020 presidential election loss. Our Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
Not guilty. That's how former U.S. President Donald Trump responded Thursday when faced with charges of conspiring to overturn his 2020 presidential election defeat. The former president attended the arraignment at a Washington courthouse located just a kilometer away from the U.S. Capitol, where his supporters stormed on January 6, 2021, in a bid to stop Congress from certifying his defeat. Trump faces a total of 4 charges, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S., depriving U.S. citizens of their voting rights, and obstructing an official proceeding. The arraignment comes after a 45-page indictment on Tuesday, where special counsel Jack Smith accused the former U.S. leader and his allies of knowingly promoting false claims that the election was rigged while pressuring state and federal officials to alter the results of the 2020 presidential election. After his not guilty plea, Trump expressed his discontent, calling the move a political persecution.
When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him.
The latest indictment marks the 3rd for Trump in just 4 months. He pleaded not guilty to New York State charges that he falsified documents in connection with hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels in April, and also pleaded not guilty to federal charges that he retained classified documents after leaving office in June. However, there could be more charges for the former president, this time in the state of Georgia, as a state prosecutor is investigating his attempts to overturn the election lost there. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The ISIS group, also known as Islamic State, confirmed on Thursday local time the death of its leader Abu Hussein al-Quraishi. According to Reuters, the group's spokesperson announced through its Telegram channel that their leader was killed during a gun battle with the Syria-based Islamist group. This undated recording is ISIS's first official announcement on their leader's death since Turkey's president said in April that Turkish intelligence forces had killed him in Syria. The extremist group's leader was the 3rd leader to be killed in the last year and a half. The ISIS named Abu Hafs al-Hashimi al-Quraishi as their new leader. Oil prices jumped on Thursday after Saudi Arabia hinted it will extend its production cuts through September. The Saudi state news agency SPA reported that the country's production for next month will be around 9 million barrels per day. Following this, West Texas Intermediate, one of the main global oil benchmarks, rose by about 2.5% to $81.55 on Thursday. Saudi Arabia has reduced its output by 1 million barrels per day from 10 million barrels since July. Meanwhile, members of OPEC Plus are scheduled to hold a meeting on Friday to review the situation on the global oil market. Many women in South Korea face years-long career breaks following marriage and giving birth, but there are still ways for them to go back to work and find a work-life balance. Our Lee Soo-jin has this story.
Women in South Korea who have been on long career breaks are determined to rejoin the workforce. But many, such as Pi Jin-won, have trouble figuring out how to do so, partly because of the changes that occurred during their time away.
Back when I first started working, most of the stuff was done manually. But when I came back, everything was computerized.
Women's participation in the workforce shows an M-shaped curve, meaning that the percentage employed plunges for women in their 30s. And the average time that it takes for those women to find employment again has increased from 7.9 years in 2019 to 8.9 years in 2022. So how can these women return to work sooner rather than later? Women like Pi Jin-won are turning to job training centers dedicated to shortening women's career breaks. This government-sponsored center in Seoul is just one of 18 that offers various job training for women. Pi, who has taken several classes at her local job training center, hopes to start an online business.
I want to feel accomplished by contributing to society before I get any older.
Classes that help women earn babysitting and barista certificates, as well as ones that teach them how to start online businesses, are just some of the options available. Cho Eun-rae successfully launched her own business after taking classes at one of these centers. Cho had a decade-long career gap before she started her own publishing company. She turns children's artwork and stories into books and publishes them so they can be sold at Kyobo Books, the nation's biggest book chain.
Children can see that their work has economic value as they can earn copyright fees from having their books sold.
She says that one of the biggest perks of running her own company is that it allows her to have autonomy over her work hours. She typically works while her children are at school, and when they come home, she spends time with them and helps them with their homework. Working from home not only saves her on rent, but makes it easier for her to do everyday tasks, such as making snacks for her kid. And her favorite time of the day is when she gets to sit down and spend quality time with her son. She says that her goal is to one day hire other women like her.
I want to have a business that creates employment.
She also hopes that more women get the courage and opportunity to start their own companies. But starting their own business isn't the only option available to these women who want to return to work. There are areas that are facing severe workforce shortages, such as in the STEM fields. Other institutions connect women on career breaks to positions in science fields and fund their research. One woman who successfully returned to work as a senior researcher through one such institution is Yang Seung-ho.
I've been able to publish SCI-grade journals and do government research. I also have colleagues that have been a huge source of strength.
The president of the institution that helped Yang rejoin the workforce as a senior researcher told us these women could help mitigate the STEM workforce shortage.
There's expected to be a shortage of 47,000 science and technology professionals by 2028, but there are currently about 190,000 women in the science field who are experiencing career interruptions.
She says that there is still much that can be done to shorten women's career breaks.
We need to up the effectiveness and usage of parental leave programs and encourage more men to take parental leave.
She said that it's crucial for these women to be actively supported not just by these institutions, but by their families. A greater awareness of the ways these women can contribute once they return to the workforce, along with the support to help them do so, will ultimately benefit the economy and society as a whole. 이수진, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In Poland, the Prime Minister has warned of potential provocations and sabotage actions from members of the Wagner mercenary group. During a press conference in Suwałki on Thursday, Poland's Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said that Wagner troops are moving towards a thin strip of land between Poland and Lithuania and could cross the border posing as migrants. He added that Belarus is hosting 4,000 Wagner fighters, and in a separate meeting said that Poland will increase the number of troops on its eastern border. This comes 2 days after 2 Belarusian helicopters allegedly entered Polish airspace during training exercises. Belarus denies the allegation. A bus has crashed into a ravine in western Mexico, killing at least 17 people, including 3 children. 22 others have been injured. According to an official, the bus on Thursday drove off a highway near the city of Tepic and crashed into a 50-meter deep ravine. It's not clear what caused the accident. The bus was carrying around 40 people and was bound for Tijuana. This comes a month after another crash in southern Mexico left 29 people dead, while 17 were killed in a crash in central Mexico in February. The group stages of the Women's World Cup came to a close, with Germany crashing out of the tournament. The 2-time world champions were knocked out after a 1-1 draw against South Korea in Brisbane on Thursday. Morocco beat Colombia 1-0 in Perth, meaning Morocco finished above Germany to reach the round of 16 for the first time. Germany striker Alexandra Popp said she can't comprehend Germany's exit. Morocco will face France in the round of 16, while Group H winners Colombia will face Jamaica. And finally, Somalia suspended its Athletics Federation chairwoman on Wednesday after a video went viral of a Somalian female sprinter performing poorly at the World University Games. The video taken on Tuesday shows 20-year-old Nasra Abukar trailing far behind her competitors in the 100-meter sprint, taking over 21 seconds to finish. Abukar was reportedly given the chance to compete at the Games in the Chinese city of Chengdu, as she is a relative of the suspended official. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Korea bakes under a searing heat wave with heat warnings remain in place in most of Korea. Gangneung had another super tropical night with temperatures staying above 30 degrees Celsius last night, and unbearable heat continued through the afternoon with an expected high of 38 degrees Celsius. And those in southern provinces need to have a small umbrella handy. 5 to 60 millimeters of sudden rain is in the forecast, and it could come down hard once it starts to rain, along with thunder and lightning. However, the capital area is having more burning sunshine with an expected high of 35 degrees Celsius. Busan is also enduring intense heat. Gyeongju seeing a high of 37 degrees. Drink plenty of water. Even if you don't feel thirsty, take regular breaks if you're outdoors. More passing showers are in the forecast in the south tomorrow, while high heat continues to engulf much of Korea through early next week, so please take well care. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
Now back on the World Scout Jamboree. According to the Korea Scout Association, the World Jamboree traces back to shivaree, a Native American word meaning joyful play and fun festival. It's been used to describe the global gathering of scouts since Scouts founder used it for the first such event in 1920. And this year, young scouts have come to Korea to draw their dreams under the slogan. But the record heat is causing an unprecedented challenge to the young scouts. Now, emergency measures in full swing to make sure they all stay safe with their health and dreams until the end of their adventures here. This is where we end today's newscast. Thanks for watching.